Good morning, second graders. It is Thursday, and I've got your ELA guided video lesson here for you. And I actually have some news for you, in case you didn't know yet. Um, if we were in school, we were scheduled to have Easter break coming up. And we were actually scheduled to not be at school Friday, which would be tomorrow, and then the following Monday. So even though it's Thursday, Thursday's video, we're kind of treating it like it's Friday because you don't have any videos or assignments to do tomorrow. Lucky you. So when you should have gotten from your teacher just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday work. And then next week, you'll get just Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday work. Okay. So I didn't want you to think you're missing anything, even though we're kind of in a weird being out schedule. We do still get those Easter days. So today's Thursday, but we're kind of going to pretend it's Friday. All right. So let's get right to it. We are going back to main idea today. All right, so we're going to be reviewing main idea and applying it to a passage that you're going to see is really familiar from the format's going to be really familiar from the case format, the case test that we've taken already this year. So let's just review really quickly. Of course, main idea, remember, is what the whole story is about. We're focusing on the whole entire text, okay? Not just one part, not just one detail or what's mentioned in each paragraph, but what the whole text is about. We use this visual of a stool with the top being that you sit on being the main idea or what the whole entire story is about, and then those three legs that the stool sits on being supporting details that give you more information about the main idea. Some clues that we were able to look at with some other passages this week were the title. The title often gives us some clues. Any headings or subheadings that break down the text give us some clues. We can look for repeated words throughout the story and also pictures. So in the passage we're about to look at, it's going to be nonfiction. We're sticking with that nonfiction theme this week. There is going to be a title. There's not any headings or subheadings. There are a couple repeated words, and there's definitely a picture for us to look at too. The other thing that we compared main idea to was a puzzle. Remember, the main idea, we're focusing on the whole puzzle, not just one piece of the puzzle or one section of the picture the puzzle makes, but the whole story. Okay? All right, so this is our story for today. It's on the topic of the holiday Groundhog Day. So I'm going to read this to you. And something that I suggest would be right now for you to follow along with me as I read. But then once I finish reading it one time through, I highly recommend you pausing this video and either reading it one time silently in your head or reading it out loud to yourself afterwards, just so you were really, really informed on the topic before we start answering the questions, okay? All right. Groundhog Day is an American tradition. It's celebrated on February 2nd. A groundhog is a type of animal called a rodent. The groundhog takes a long nap through the winter like a bear. This is called hibernation. It sleeps in a burrow. There's a famous legend about Groundhog Day. Some people believe that the groundhog can predict when spring will come. When the groundhog rouses from its long nap, it comes out of its burrow. Sometimes the groundhog sees its shadow. If it does, the groundhog goes back into its burrow. People believe that this means a longer winter. Sometimes the groundhog does not see its shadow. People believe that this means spring will come early. Groundhog Day started over 100 years ago in Pennsylvania. It was based on a similar tradition celebrated in Germany. Today, Groundhog Day is celebrated all over America and Canada. The most famous groundhog is in the town of Punxsutawney. I practiced that so many times before this video. It's got a little pronunciation in those brackets. It says Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. There's a famous groundhog there named Phil. Over 40,000 people travel to Punxsutawney. They want to see if Phil spots his shadow. Can a groundhog really predict when spring will come? Many people believe that this is just a legend. They do not believe that a groundhog can really know if spring is coming. Other people believe differently. There is a study that shows that Phil is right most of the time. You be the judge. On February 2nd, find out what Phil does. Then count 6 weeks on a calendar. Mark the date. What is the weather on that day? All right, so the first thing I noticed as I started reading paragraph 1 and 2 was that I saw a couple of those words were a little bit darker or bolded, and they were slanted on their side. We call that italicized, and that just means that the author wanted to draw close attention to those words because they're probably important to know for the overall text. So those bold print words I see up there are tradition, rodent, burrow, and legend. And then right here I see a glossary box that repeats those same bold words and then tells me what the words mean too. So tradition is the belief or celebrated, or a belief or celebration shared among groups of people. In my house, a tradition we celebrate is on Christmas Eve. We like to eat seafood at my house. I know that's kind of funny, but we like to eat either like shrimp or crab legs or sometimes lobster. It's just a tradition, a celebration that is shared in my family. And then a rodent is a small animal with big front teeth, like a mouse or a beaver. So that gave you examples of a rodent. A burrow, kind of makes you think of a rabbit. A burrow is like a hole or a tunnel that animals might live in. And then a legend is a story from the past. Now, when I think of the word legend, I actually think of stories that really aren't true. Like, oh, that's just a legend, people say. So good readers take these new words that are given to them and they think about things that they already know about them so they can apply them to a new text. So what I want you to do now is I want you to pause this video and I want you to go back and read this story, like I said, either silently to yourself or out loud to someone near you or just out loud to yourself before you start answering the questions, okay? All right. Okay, if you are back with us now, we are going to go ahead and jump right into our questions. All right, so this very first question is asking us, what is the main idea of the passage? Now I'm going to move my video over here, and I think there is a way that I can keep recording, but the video's gone. Okay, I hopefully am still recording. I am going to go into my drawing mode now so we can start answering the questions. Okay, so this first question is asking us, what is the main idea of the passage? So again, main idea, it's what the whole story is about. I put that little chart down there at the bottom to help us out too. So let's look at our 4 choices, okay? All right, choice A says, Groundhog Day is a tradition that was first celebrated over 100 years ago, but is no longer popular. Well, if I look in paragraph 3, I do have text evidence that Groundhog Day started over 100 years ago in Pennsylvania. However, I don't know if I agree with the second half of this choice. It says that it's no longer popular. If I actually were to keep reading in that third paragraph, I see that it says today, Groundhog Day is celebrated all over America and Canada. So if it's still celebrated today all over America and Canada, I don't think that A is the correct choice because it says that it's no longer popular. So I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to slash it and trash it on letter A. So talking about text evidence for just a second, we can find text evidence to highlight to prove that an answer is correct. And we can also find text evidence, like we just did for this one, to prove that an answer is incorrect. So it's really important that we note evidence from our text to prove our answer is right or wrong. All right, let's look at B. B says, Groundhog Day is a tradition based on a legend about a rodent that can tell when spring will come. Oh my goodness, when I read that choice, 3 words stood out to me from here. This word, tradition, legend, and rodent. Those 3 words are right here in my glossary. So this answer choice is really interesting to me because it has words in there that are important from our text. So I think that this might be a good one to keep. If I go back in my story, I can prove that Groundhog Day is an American tradition. I can prove that there's a famous legend about Groundhog Day. And I can also prove where it says a groundhog's a type of animal called a rodent. So if I put all 3 of these things together, Groundhog Day is a tradition, yep. Based on a legend, yep. about a rodent that can tell when spring will come. Because see here it says, this is a famous legend about Groundhog Day. Some people believe that the groundhog can predict when spring will come. So I'm going to put a little question mark next to choice B because I want to keep that one. I don't want to slash and trash that one quite yet. I think that might be our right answer choice, but good readers go through and read all of their choices before they choose a final one. All right, C says Groundhog Day is the day when groundhogs finally wake up from hibernation. Well, I do remember in paragraph 1, it talked about how groundhogs do take a nap. I'm going to change my color so you can see where I'm highlighting real quick. Let me just see if I can maybe change that. All right, maybe not. Oh, here we go. All right, I made it green now. So I do see in paragraph 1 here where it says the groundhog takes a long nap through the winter like a bear. This is called hibernation. So yes, groundhogs do hibernate, and it does take place when groundhogs wake up from hibernation. So C is technically correct. Groundhog Day is the day when the groundhog wakes up, he comes out of his burrow and sees its shadow. However, this question was asking us for the main idea. And remember, main idea is what the text is mostly about. And I don't think that text was mostly about it waking up from hibernation. I think the text was more about how it's based on a legend and the holiday. So I don't think that while C is correct and it is one of the details mentioned in the story, I don't think we can choose that as our main idea. All right, last choice here, D says Groundhog Day is the day when 40,000 people come to a small town in Pennsylvania. I definitely remember seeing that word because I remember thinking in paragraph 3 that was a lot of people. So in paragraph 3, I see that over 40,000, get my highlighter, sorry. Over 40,000 people travel to Punxsutawney. They want to see if Phil spots his shadow. So yes, Groundhog Day is the day when 40,000 people come to this small town in Pennsylvania. However, was the whole entire passage about the 40,000 people coming to Punxsutawney? No, that was just one of the details that was mentioned in the story. B, Groundhog Day being a tradition based on a legend about the rodent telling when spring will come, really focuses on what the whole story is mostly about. So we were right. B is our correct choice. And I'm going to clear this off so we can go. Wrong button. I'm going to clear this off so we can go on to our next one. All right, you hanging in there with me? Still good? All right, so that was question number 1 about the main idea. And now we're going to look at these next 3 questions. They're going to ask us about the word predict, the glossary, and where it's celebrated at a traditional another place. So I am going to stop my video again and go into drawing mode again. Sorry about that. All right, so number 1 up here is asking us what the word predict means in paragraphs 2 and 4. I love it when they tell us exactly which paragraphs they want us to go back to. I am going to go to a little bit of a pink highlighter now because it told me to go to paragraphs 2 and 4. So here's paragraph 2 and here is paragraph 4. So let's see if we can find the word predict in paragraphs 2 and 4. All right, the second sentence in paragraph 2 says, some people believe that the groundhog can predict when spring will come. And in paragraph 4, it says, can a groundhog really predict when spring will come? I want us to think about what the word predict means because I know all of us have heard that word before. So when I think about predicting, I think about when I'm reading a story with my class and something really big and important happens and I ask my friends to try to predict what's going to happen next based on what we just read. So I can use that same knowledge of the word predict and apply it to this question here. Some people believe that the groundhog can predict, like he can tell us what's going to happen. He can predict the future. He can tell us what if spring is going to come or if we're going to have a longer winter. So let's plug in these 4 choices. A says tell. Some people believe the groundhog can tell when spring will come. I think that one might fit. Let's keep that one. Sleep. Some people believe that the groundhog can sleep when spring will come. Well, I think it just told us that when spring comes is when it comes out of its hibernation, and that's when it comes out of its burrow. So I don't think that sleep fits the best choice here for the word predict. What about hide? Some people believe that the groundhog can hide when spring will come. That kind of sounds silly. I don't think a little groundhog can hide spring coming or not. And then the last word says celebrate. Some people believe that the groundhog can celebrate when spring will come. I think that Groundhog Day is a holiday or a tradition that we celebrate. I don't necessarily think that the groundhog is celebrating when spring will come. So I think the best meaning for the word predict here would be tell. Can a groundhog really tell when spring will come? That makes the most sense to me. All right, this next question is asking us about our glossary. So our glossary is this nice little text feature here on our story. We sing a song in our class about text features, which I'm going to teach you guys in a couple of weeks. And the glossary part goes, glossary gives us definitions of the bold words, which is exactly what it did on this page. It gave us the meaning or the definitions of the 4 bold words: tradition, rodent, burrow, and legend. Okay, so let's go through and look at our 4 choices. And we're going to see if we can figure out which tells us the purpose of the glossary here. So A says it shows the reader where to find more information about a topic. Well, I think that that text feature would be something like the index or the table of contents. I'm think that would be something that shows the reader where to find more information about the topic. Would probably have page numbers, because it would be telling us what page to go back in the story to find more information about the topic. So I don't think that A is going to be my purpose for my glossary. Okay, what about B? It provides the meaning of keywords. Well, yeah, it definitely has the keywords in there: tradition, rodent, burrow, and legend. And it tells me the meaning of them out to the side. So I'm going to keep B as an answer choice. And what about C? It organizes the information into different sections. I think those are what we call subheadings, which I don't even see any subheadings on this paragraph. There's no subheadings breaking down the story into different sections. So I don't think that's my glossary. And then D tells me what is happening in the picture. Well, we all know that a caption is the text feature that tells me more about a picture, and we don't have one here. And it's definitely not the purpose of the glossary. So B is my glossary, which provides the meaning of keywords. Last one on this page, and then we've got one more left. It says Groundhog Day, the passage, is based on the holiday, Groundhog Day, is based on a similar tradition that we celebrate in which place? I remember it mentioning another country where Groundhog Day is celebrated. And I think that was in paragraph 3 when it gave me a little bit of history about the holiday itself. So let's go back to paragraph 3. It says Groundhog Day started over 100 years ago in Pennsylvania. All right, here we go. It was based on a similar tradition celebrated in Germany. So I see that Germany is one of my 3 choices, but good readers make sure they read all 4 choices before they make their final selection. So A says Canada. Canada is mentioned in this story, but it's mentioned because it is celebrated all over America and Canada. That's not where the tradition was kind of based on. So we're going to slash and trash Canada. B says France. I don't remember France being mentioned at all in my story, so I'm going to slash and trash that one. And same thing with Mexico. Mexico was not mentioned in the story. So we're going to slash and trash Mexico, and that leaves us with the one we thought, which was Germany. All right, you guys are rocking this. All right, deep breath. You need to pause and take a little break and do some jumping jacks or some push-ups. The hardest one is coming up next, okay? Super hard worker challenge coming at you next, okay? Last one for this story too. You guys are doing a great, great, great job. All right, last one. Here we go. Let me get into my drawing mode real quick. All right. So this last one is asking us, which sentence from the passage does the author use to support the idea that Punxsutawney Phil really does know when spring will come? All right, we got to break down this question because this question is worded really trickily and it's trying to confuse you, but I know that you are super smart and we are not going to let this one trip us up. All right, so which sentence from the passage? So that's going to be A, B, or C, or D. They gave us sentences from the passage. And we're trying to pick which sentence does the author use to support. Well, let's think about the word support real quick. The word support means it's going to match or say the same thing. So support means it's going to be really similar. It's going to match A, B, C, or D, or it's going to be really similar. Okay, so what's the idea that we're trying to match? We're trying to pick a sentence that supports or matches what? We're trying to match that Punxsutawney Phil really does know when spring will come. So this author thinks that he's right. This author thinks that Punxsutawney Phil, the groundhog, is correct. He thinks that he really does know that when spring will come, and he's correct most of the time. So let's look at A. A says they want to see if Phil spots his shadow. Well, it does mention Phil in this sentence, in this choice, but does it mention at all that he's correct or he really does know that it's going to be spring or not? No, it just mentions here that people want to see if he spots his shadow. This does not match that idea. Okay, B says many people believe it's just a legend. So remember we talked about this word legend a few minutes ago, where I think that a legend means that it's kind of not correct, it's not true, it's just kind of a story that's been passed down that's not necessarily true or not. So that's kind of what this choice is saying. Many people believe that Punxsutawney Phil is just a legend, it's not really true. Well, that doesn't match what I'm trying to support up here, because I'm trying to support that he really does know that it's going to be spring or not. So I'm going to slash and trash B because that doesn't really match either. All right, let's look at C. C says they do not believe that a groundhog can really know if spring is coming. Well, this is kind of like B. B said that people just think it's a legend, it's not true. C says they don't think a groundhog can really know if spring is coming. But is that what I'm trying to match up here in my question? No, I'm trying to match or support that he really does know when spring is coming, that he's right, that he's correct most of the time. So I can slash and trash C, and that leaves me with choice D, which says there is a study that shows that Phil is right most of the time. Well, this finally does seem to match my idea up here in my question. Punxsutawney Phil really does know when spring will come. D, there is a study that shows that Phil is right most of the time. So D is the only answer choice that matches or is the same or supports the idea the author gave us that Punxsutawney Phil really does know when spring will come. Okay? Great job, everybody. I'm so proud of you. I know that was kind of tricky and that was kind of a long story, but you guys hung in there and you did a great job. Okay. Before we go on to the last thing, I want to make sure that you understand your assignment for today. So you actually have 2 assignments today, but don't let that concern you. They're very short, both of them. The reason we had to format it into 2 assignments is because Seesaw, in order for you to be able to write on it, on the assignment, you can only upload 1 page at a time. So on each of these assignments, you've got 1 piece of paper, and the top half of both pages is just your story about the first woman doctor. So you're going to see Thursday, April 9th, part 1, and Thursday, April 9th, part 2. Do part 1 first. That's questions 1, 2, and 3. You're just going to circle A, B, C, or D, just like we did a second ago. And then Thursday, April 9th, part 2 is only 2 questions, question 4 and 5. So it's still just a short little paragraph about the first woman doctor. And you're going to answer questions 1 through 3, then 4 through 5. So only 5 questions. You got this. Okay? All right, guys. Remember that while today is Thursday, you will not have a Friday video lesson or assignment or anything tomorrow because it is Good Friday, part of that Easter holiday where we wouldn't be at school anyway. So you actually get Friday and Monday off. Pretty lucky, huh? All right, guys, I've really enjoyed coming to you this week. I'm excited to see you again next week. We'll be back started on Tuesday. So be looking for these assignments to be posted from your teacher on Tuesday. Have a great Easter weekend with your family. Stay safe. Enjoy your time together. And we'll see you back here next week. Bye.